Alright, let's talk about Vikings. You picture them giant, hairy, bearded maniacs with horned helmets, which by the way they never wore, screaming and chopping their way through Europe. And yeah, that's a big part of it. They were terrifyingly good at the whole hairy bro with an axe thing, but that's the only half of a story. The other half is way more surprising and frankly a lot more impressive. Sure, the raiding was their entry-level gig. Monasteries were basically undefended banks full of silver and wine, so the Vikings showed up, took the cash and caused some chaos. It was a business model and it worked, but the raiding is seasonal. You can't do that all year, so what did they do in the off-season? They became the most ambitious entrepreneurs of the early medieval world. Their real genius wasn't the axe, it was the longship. This was the revolutionary piece of technology. It was shallow enough to sail up rivers, but sturdy enough to cross the open ocean. It was the SUV, the cargo ship and the stealth attack craft all in one. They didn't just let them raid, it let them go places. They didn't just hit and run, they moved in. And where did they go? Everywhere. They didn't just burn things down, they built some of the most important trading hubs in Europe. Dublin in Ireland, York in England were founded by Vikings as a major commercial centers. They were the middlemen of the Dark Ages, creating a massive trade network that connected the Byzantine Empire in the east with the British Isles in the west. They weren't just takers, they were dealers, moving everything from slaves and furs to the exotic seals and spices. But wait, there's more. They went east. A group of Vikings known as the Rus sailed down the rivers of modern day Russia and Ukraine, so much that they were named Russia likely came from them. They didn't just trade, they found states and even provide the elite guard for the Byzantine Emperor in Constantinople, the legendary Varangian Guard. Imagine being so good at fighting that the most powerful empire in the world hires you as their personal bodyguard. That's some serious resume booster. And then they went west, not just to Greenland, but all the way to North America, landing in what's the now Newfoundland, Canada around 1000 after Christ, about 500 years before Columbus got lost and bumped into it. They didn't just stumble upon it, they tried to settle it. They set up a small base at the Lance Ahmedov. It didn't last, probably because they couldn't get along with the locals, but the sheer audacity of sailing into the unknown in open boats is mind-boggling. So were Vikings hairy bros with axes? Absolutely. They were brutal, violent raiders who terrorized a continent, but they were also master shipbuilders, shrewd traders, city founders, globe-trotting explorers, and the personal security for emperors. They were the startup founders of the Viking Age, using violence as their new initial funding round before diversifying into logistic, international trade and real estate development. They were more than just axe-wielding barbarians, they were the architects of the connected world that followed.